Welcome, UCL fans, to the draft analysis for the off-season Little Cup tournament in the Hoenn division. Sorry, I had to think about that. I'm trying to figure out which division I was on. If you don't know what the Little Cup tournament is all about, I'll have a link in the description to a video I did earlier that talks about all the Little Cup tournament information. But I'm going to show you all the brackets right now, and as you can see, all 16 teams have been divided up into 4 divisions between Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh. And like I said earlier, today we're going to be covering the Hoenn division, so we will be covering the Pittsburgh Pichus, the New York Mankeys, the St. Louis Rampardos, and the Grand Canyon Greninjas. If you do enjoy this video, please leave it a thumbs up. Let me know which of these 4 teams we'll be covering today you think will make it into the playoffs, or who you're even rooting for of these 4 teams to make it into the playoffs. So with all that, we're going to go ahead and jump right into the analysis of their drafts. Whoop, I'm going to move myself. So starting off with the Pittsburgh Pichus, with their only draft that they got to choose, which was their team captain Eevee, and the rest of the Pokemon on their team were just randomly selected from it. So their A-tier Pokemon were Cottonee as well as Ghastly. Ghastly was one of the most sought-after ones from the A-tier, but since it was all randomized, it was no chance that the person who would have wanted it the most could have gotten it. And it was interesting it made it as far down as it did because the Pittsburgh Pichus were the second to last team to go in the draft. So the fact that Ghastly made it all the way down there was pretty amazing. In the B tier, we had Surskit, Doduo, Binacle, and Tyrant. In the C tier, we have Mudkip, Flabebe, and Munna. And in the D tier, we had Shinx. Pretty decently balanced team. Little bit of weakness, like common weaknesses would be like little bit of electric type with Surskit and Mudkip, and I think Binacle might have some of it. I know Binacle is at least weak to grass, as is Mudkip. Tyrant's definitely able to take in a lot of those hits and dish them right back out. Ghastly, pretty decent with a ghost poison type on the field for it. Going to be pretty hard to predict. Munna being a pretty decent psychic type as well. So it's going to be, again, this was one of the other well-balanced teams. I spoke earlier of the Toronto Togekiss, who probably had one of the best drafted teams in the entire league. I think that this one is also a pretty decent one as well. Almost has that fire, water, grass core that is so common with most players, at least through regular gameplay. So definitely will be interesting to see, a couple grass type, or one grass type. Got the fairy type, has a dragon rock type, rock water, water bug, water electric, psychic, fairy grass. So a lot of great mons. It'll be interesting to see how he plays it out for the season. Up next, we're going to cover the New York Mankeys, whose team captain is, of course, Mankey. Is probably the only team who has their mascot as their team captain as well. From A tier, managed to pull Magnemite and Snubble, so pretty decent with a electric, steel, and fairy type. In the B tier, got Axew, Tentacool, Baneri, and Scraggy, and during the actual draft was so excited when they drafted Scraggy because he was looking for a dark type. Now has Dragon, Water, Poison, as well as Normal, and then of course Scraggy being fighting dark, blah, I knew what I'm doing. C tier got Wingull, Baltoy, and Skiddo, and in the D tier got Combee, one of the ones that most people were not looking forward to drafting the most out of it, but all around pretty decent typing around. Another really balanced team, I think. A couple common weaknesses go to like the psychic typing with Mankey and Tentacool, but can be easily stopped with Scraggy. You also have Baltoy, who should be able to resist a psychic hit since it's also psychic itself. Kind of an electric weakness between Wingull and Tentacool, but has, Magnemite that can eat up an electric hit. Same with Skiddo being a grass type for it. And Skiddo, of course, also covers the grass weakness. kind of a fire weakness between Magnemite and Skiddo, but again, you got Tentacool, Wingull, as well as actually being able to take the fire type hits. Combi as well, also being weak to fire, but I don't foresee Combi coming a lot in this tournament. Snubbull being, of course, fairy type, so weak to steel and poison types. A lot of poison types were drafted, but not a lot of steel types, so can definitely work pretty well with a, I can see him bringing Snubbull and Magnemite to just about every game. It will be interesting to see how he plays it out, and of course it also will determine on what the other teams have drafted. So with that, we're going to move on to the St. Louis Rampardos, which is going to be interesting when the New York Mankeys and the St. Louis Rampardos, every time they fight, the St. Louis Rampardos always come out on top. Of course, if you remember, in Season 1 of the UCL, Battle 2 time limit with the St. Louis Rampardos coming out on top wasn't planned. He wasn't trying to do it that way, was just trying to think strategically. So hopefully with Little Cup Mons, it won't go to a timer on it, considering they're all only set to level 5, so the battle should go by pretty quickly. If it does go to timer, then the coach of the St. Louis Rampardos, aDrive, thinks way too much about his moves and just needs to kind of go with it at times. But anyway, jumping into his team, team captain Greninjas, of course the pre-evolved form of Rampardos. For their A tier mons, got Diglett and Mienfoo. B tier was Anorith, Sandshrew, Nosepass, and Talo. From C tier, got Yamask, Shroomish, and Grimer. And in the D tier, battled a Lotad. Common weaknesses are a lot of fighting type weaknesses with Greninjas, Anorith, and Nosepass. Also a lot of water weaknesses with Greninjas, Diglett. I think Anorith is also weak. Sandshrew, all being and Nosepass, of course. So a lot of water type weaknesses with not a lot of counters. Shroomish is the only grass type, and Lotad and Shroomish are the only grass types that can help out with a lot of those common weaknesses. Mienfoo can't really do much to help out with those weaknesses, but at least is another mon to switch into for it. Talo can help out with some of the grass weaknesses, of course, being a flying type. Grimer, can hit pretty hard, and I think can be a little bulky at times if you do it just right with it. So, St. Louis Rampardos have always done well in league competitions, not losing too often, so it'll be very interesting to see how it happens, because he's going to be battling for the first time ever in Little Cup. He's never actually done it before, at least not to my knowledge on it. And then finally we have the Grand Canyon Greninjas, whose team captain is Rattata. My prediction, why he went Rattata, he wants to try and go for that, Focus Sash, Endeavor, Quick Attack, where knocks him down to 1 HP. Endeavor will bring his opponent down to 1 HP, and then Quick Attack priority to take it out for it. I don't know, that's just a common thing that I've seen, but he could run all sorts of sets on it. For A tier, got Archon and Fletchling, so kind of 2 flying types to start off. From the B tier, pulled Dwebble, Bergmite, Larvitar, and Kabuto. You can start to see a lot of weaknesses in the form of rock typing, with Fletchling being weak to rocks, Bergmite, Larvitar, not Larvitar, sorry, Dwebble's neutral to it, so... C tier got Pansage, Igglybuff, and Helioptile. Was definitely a good pickup with the Helioptile, some of the few electric types in this. And from the D tier, Drowsy, definitely going to help out. Has a lot of fighting weaknesses, I think, with Bergmite and Larvitar and Kabuto all being weak to it. So Igglybuff, I don't know if it's normal or if it's fairy normal typing. Helioptile also has a normal typing on there, so being weak to fighting as well. Makes it a very unique one to see what he's going to do with it. So Drowsy, being his last pick, was definitely helpful with a lot of his weaknesses. kind of hard to say who's going to actually move on into the semifinals from this tier or in this division. So let me know down below, of the 4 teams after going through this analysis, who you think will make it into the semifinals, or who you're at least rooting for. Of course, we'll find out over the course of the next 6 weeks. The first battles will start on, I believe it's the 13th, so not this Saturday, but the following Saturday from when this video goes up. And just let me know who you think will make it into the playoffs. So that's going to do it for this one. In the next one, which will be the final one, we're going to be going over the Sinnoh team divisions. So thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like I said, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to make this more official, tweet at the coaches, tweet at the UCL. Let them know that you think I'm doing a good job and you want to see more from this. So thank you all very much for watching. Thank you all for your support. I will see you all next time. Take care and good night.